Let me tell you about the best job I've ever had. For 2 years, I worked at a very respected, medium-sized museum of Near Eastern archaeology. It was an amazing place. You could see, among many other things, hundreds of Babylonian coins, a fragment of the Ishtar Gate, a colossal Neo-Assyrian Lamassu, and, until recently, the bones of an ancient Egyptian priestess. I typically worked in the archives. Some of it was boring computer work, but a lot of it was cataloging donations and books and objects. When COVID hit, the museum of course shut down. My boss let us come back to work, but only allowed one person at a time. During my shift, I would be one of the only people in the entire museum, and certainly felt like I was the only one in the building. It was an awesome feeling, and I have such fond memories of that summer. But it did feel lonely sometimes. Well, maybe lonely isn't the right word. I was surrounded by objects dreamed up and carved by people who lived their lives so many centuries before mine, they might as well have been a different species. Carved figurines of spirits and gods who were once worshipped and feared, but now are little more than mysteries to scholars, my favorite being a tiny statue of Pazuzu from The Exorcist. On warm summer evenings, when the museum felt 100 degrees and the cicadas were chirping outside, I would remember the staring eyes of the carved friezes, the tiny clay statues of spirits and demons, and the Egyptian priestess's clean white bones, and feel rather alarmingly unlonely. This is the world of Children of Clay, a bite-sized free horror game from Hungarian developer Balázs Ronyai that wonderfurly captures that lonely but not alone feeling I remember. In it, we play as an unnamed Hungarian archaeologist who sits down one night to study an ancient clay figurine found in the Urals that a colleague found. It seems our protagonist has been confined to working their study after some sort of accident befell them in the field. Our point of view is the archaeologist's desk, with a candle, matches, a compass, a pulley magnifying glass, and some reference books, with, of course, the figurine itself. The game's art has this cool, eerie collage look with this greenish, grainy filter. It kind of sits in the middle ground of like an I Spy video game from the 2000s and some of the more recent David Firth animations. Anyways, there's not a whole lot we can do besides light the candle and take a closer look at the clay figurine. It's a bit creepy. There are basic human features, but everything looks pinched and warped. There's almost a look of agony in its face. We can open the reference books, but we need to search specific keywords to be able to look anything up. It's not like we can just read over the game's entire lore without working for it. Let's start by looking up the small bit we know about the figure, like clay and Ural. At this point, I really had no clue what to do until I found out you could rotate the figurine. There's a metal object in the back of it that almost looks like the head of a nail. We consult our book and use our compass to find out it's iron, cold iron specifically. If you know your world folklore, evil spirits and supernatural beings generally hate iron, and iron objects have been used across the world and for thousands of years to ward them away. On the other side, there's little runes etched in. We do a little more hunting through our books and find out that the runes are in Old Hungarian and spell out Ordung, the modern Hungarian word for Ordog. Ordog is the Hungarian version of a deity from across Turkic folk religion called Erlik in modern Turkish. The god has many forms, but essentially Erlik was the brother of the creator deity. Together, the brothers created the world and humanity, but Erlik grew jealous of his brother and was eventually banished to the underworld, where he became the lord of death, darkness, and plague. Obviously, when Christianity came to Hungarians, Erlik, or Ordog, became conflated with the devil, and has since taken on his traits: goat horns, hooves, and a pitchfork. But it doesn't seem to have always been that simple, and Erlik, or Ordog, was once worshipped and offered sacrifices to cure diseases and prevent plague. Also, in case you get mad at me, I'm not saying Hungarians are Turkic, but historically and culturally, there's definitely some common ground. Anyways, we consult the book once more and find a record of an odd Neolithic tablet that depicts the 8 children of Ordog, but we can only see 7. I love how creepy the drawings are. They're not much above stick figures, but still so suggestive. Some are obviously just monsters, but others are more unsettling. What would this figure look like in real life? Or this one? Anyways, the figure not depicted is Mumush, which our book tells you is essentially the boogeyman in Hungary. An evil spirit that is a remnant of the Magyar pagan past. Like the boggart in Harry Potter, the Mumush simply takes the form of whatever most scares the observer. This is a real thing in Hungarian folk belief. I also learned about the other 2 boogeymen of Hungary, the Zsákos Ember, the man with the sack, and the Rezfasu Bagói, which means copper penis owl, which you'd be shocked to know takes the form of an owl with a penis made out of copper. Anyways, while I was thinking about how good of a pair the man with the sack and the copper penis owl would be, I clicked off the book and saw that the figurine had undergone a change. The black slime has dislodged the iron at the back of the statue. You coax it out and it's revealed to be a nail. Whatever the iron was keeping in is out now. With no electricity, we light our candle and try to find out what's going on. Honestly, I didn't think the game would let us get up from the desk, and fumbling around your office in the dark with weak candlelight is perfectly disorienting. Space doesn't really make sense, and the objects in the study are all charged with this threatening energy. It feels very surreal. We hear something in the corner. Is that wheezing? We run away from the horrible thing on the floor and find ourselves in darkness. Again, the space doesn't quite make sense as we feel our way along stone walls in pitch black. Hemmed in by stone walls and out of options, we light our final match. So, the Mamouche imprisoned in the statue took us to the cave it was found in and trapped us there. I don't think it's that simple. You don't have to be Sherlock to figure it out, but some digging is needed to make it make sense. Remember that the Mamouche represents our worst fears. The beginning text details some traumatic accident we went through that has kept us from doing research in the field. An accident where we were trapped in a cave. It's pretty clear that the Mamouche picked up on that and brought us back to that moment, likely forever. I think it's up to interpretation whether we were simply trapped there mentally or genuinely transported back to the same cave, though the fact our characters described as disappearing strongly suggests the latter, at least to me. It's an incredibly grim ending for a video game. I mean, obviously being trapped in a cave and doomed to slowly die of hunger is not a nice thing for anyone, but the fact that our character already went through it and yet survived the first time is especially cruel, knowing we're just completely fucked this time around. Who would ever suspect you're here or come to look for you? Plus, the shape of the Mamouche itself. At first, it's just this creepy, pulsing, fleshy mass. But what does its silhouette look like? To me, it looks like a human form lying in fetal position, hyperventilating with panic and utterly pathetic and defeated. It looks like someone trapped in a cave. A broken person surrendering to their fate. I'm probably reading too into it, but even the little figurine has the same fetal position, arms and legs arrangement, and this agonized look on its face. The ending where it's revealed that there are a bunch of other statues that were going to other universities feels a bit blah and formulaic. We've seen the same thing all the time in horror movies, but at least it does set it up for a sequel. Still, Children of Clay shines as a video game short story in a world of horror games that feel like novels. There's something so exciting about a game like this you can play in under 30 minutes. In the same way there's something so exciting about starting a short story when you have some time to kill. You can start it and finish it in the same setting, and as a result, the creator has to cut out all the fat for it to be effective. I've talked about the game's visual and atmosphere, but there's a lot else the game does right, like the sound. I love this creepy little sting when you first see the shape in your study. It reminded me of that super eerie theme from 2001: A Space Odyssey. Ultimately, there's just something creepy about ancient things. Not necessarily in a deep god Cthulhu type of way. The history of humankind is weird and dark enough that sometimes you don't need to invent something to be scared of. Objects carved and coveted by humans whose bones have been dust for thousands and thousands and thousands of years, but a drop of whose blood might be in my veins, or yours. When a statue of a god or spirit has survived, but the name and significance of the being depicted has been forgotten. We're all walking on a graveyard, hundreds of feet deep, that spans the entire Earth's landmass. I think that's a thought that used to make me look over my shoulder sometimes, working at the museum on summer evenings all by myself. When we dig up a tablet, a coin, a bone, or a statue, what are we digging up with it? Anyways, I love this game and I can't wait for what comes next for the dev. I made this video because I'm in the YouTube equivalent of a writer's block right now, letting two projects that I care about more or less rot for months, and was hoping this could give me a burst of productivity back as I was excited to talk about this game. I hope you're all staying well. That's all for today. Thank you so much for your time, dear viewer. I wish you all the good fortune in the world. I remain your faithful snuggler.